Good morning and welcome to my YouTube channel. So this morning I've come to Glen Etive. This is the home of Skyfall James Bond. So join me and let's see where this journey takes us this morning. Right, so I've just managed to find a parking space. It's been a while since I've been down Glen Etive. I'll just turn round so you can see the stunning scenery, and there's snow in the hills above me as well. So what I'm doing this morning is I'm just driving down Glen Etive Road and I'm just looking for waterfalls, but we've had so much rain this last week and a half that the river is really swollen, and there's lots of little waterfalls coming down the mountainsides. So that could make some really interesting shots later on, and with the snow on the top of the hills, that'll help. I did wonder why there were gritters sitting at the side of the road as I was driving up, and now I know. But if anyone's thinking about coming down Glen Etive, it's changed a lot. You can't park anywhere. So as you'll see, the passing place signs have got no parking and lay-by restrictions everywhere. I've managed to park in an old works car park where they were doing some renovations, and there's no signs on that car park lay-by where I am. But that just means I've got a long walk wherever I want to go. So I'm going down to these falls that I've never photographed before. It's really atmospheric this morning, as you can see. But hey, it's going to be beautiful. So I'll catch up when I'm down at the falls. Alright, so I've climbed down to the side of the falls here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my time and I'm going to look for different compositions, because there's a couple of trees in front of me. One's quite a nice wee flat top tree, quite gnarly. I've got a big boulder in front of me here as well, right in the centre of the river, and the water's coming right round beside it. There's a wee bit of spray in the air because it's still raining, so I'm not putting my filters on because I'll be continually wiping them. So what I'm going to try and do is take some shots without the filters, but underexposed, probably by a stop, just to compensate. And then what I'll do is I'll turn round, I'll look for landscape shots, I'll look for portrait shots, and I'll see what different compositions I can get from this spot. There's some really nice textures in the rocks, so I might be able to get some of those rocks as interesting foreground. And then what I'll do is when I finish taking images here, I'll work my way around, because there's another waterfall just up there that could be quite nice because there's a lot of spray coming off it, and if we can get a position where we're in front of it, that could be quite a nice image. And then the other nice image is right behind the camera, looking into the mountains. It is absolutely glorious. So what I'll do is I'll take these images just now and I'll share them with you. So what I'm trying to do is there's that little tree I mentioned earlier. It's really nice. It's got some nice shapes on the top. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a composition where I've got the river in the foreground and using that as a lead up to that small tree, because the glen in the background is so atmospheric, it's beautiful. So instead of me exposing for a sky, because there isn't any, I'm actually exposing for the water. So I've got an F8, I've got an F14, an eighth of a second ISO 100, and I'm just giving enough room that I can crop out as much as I can if I want, because I'm getting some nice kind of splash effects below me at this rock here, and that could be quite nice, especially as I've slowed down the water. The only thing I'm not sure of is there's another tree beside this tree. It's a tall, thin tree. I'm not sure if that's going to help the image or not, but I'll be able to tell that when I get back and I look in the computer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move round a bit to try and isolate that tree and get that tree from a different position, and I'll keep working the scene and I'll share those images with you just now. Alright, so I've come round facing the falls, but I'm having to continually clean my lens because there's a lot of spray. I don't think it's raining anymore, but I think I'm getting a lot of spray for the falls, and I'm just keep checking the front of the lens. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus in on the rocks at the side of the falls, and then what I'll try and do is work it around where I'll try and get a couple of close-up compositions of the falls. I'll get some wider shots. I'm conscious I've got these two trees in front of me, so we might get some of the branches, but that's okay, that might help frame the image a bit. But what I could do is move further back and then take a shot of the falls with both trees beside it, and that'll help give it a frame. I'll try some portrait shots here and I'll turn the camera around. Not quite sure if that's going to work because the mouth of the falls is quite a wide scene, but I'll give it a try. There are some rocks down here in front of me, so I could maybe get them as kind of foreground interest and use that as a leading line up towards the mouth of the falls. Yeah, I'll keep taking photos, and then what I'll do is I'll move further around and see if we can get other compositions. I'm so glad I brought my gloves. It's absolutely freezing here, and I mean freezing. So I'll share these images with you now. Alright, so I'm just decided to come down right at the edge of the river, and I'm just going to stand here at the base of the falls, because what I want to try and do is get a lower level composition and shot of the falls, because that might be interesting. And you know what, we've got to try these things to see how they look. The other reason I came down here was I thought that little tree would have a wee bit more separation, but unfortunately it doesn't. So in fact you can't really see it, so it's difficult to make it out. So what we'll do is we'll focus here on the falls. I'm just going to check the lens because I am a wee bit closer. Lens is fine so far. Right, oh that's quite nice, that's really moody. Oh wow, that's stunning. Right, so coming down to this elevation and being really low is giving me a completely different perspective, and I'm now looking up into the Glen, and I've got some mega atmosphere behind me. I'm just setting my settings here because what I'm trying to do is focus on the rock at the side of the falls here, because as the camera's so low I'm looking up towards the falls and then into the Glen, and all the mist and the clouds are starting to clear. I'm just going to check that because it looks quite soft. Oh, do you know, so I'm saying it looks quite soft, and the reason it's looking soft is because there's so much spray coming off the base of the falls and all the water. It's actually making the scene look really out of focus and soft. and it isn't. So everything on the left hand side, it's like mist that's appearing. So that's really cool. So I'm going to zoom in a bit more and I'll take another shot. And then what I'll do is I'll take 2 or 3 different compositions in this area. I'll pull back a wee bit and I'm going to use the rocks that I'm standing on because the water's overlapping onto the rock here. And I might get some nice effects. And yeah, when I'm finished, I'll share those images with you. Alright, so I'm just moving a wee bit closer to the falls, and I'm just trying to get, I might just nudge my way up here to the left hand side. I am being really careful, so I'm not, well, I've got my shoes on. I intentionally didn't put my wellies on just in case I had to walk on the rocks, so because the wellies are pretty lethal in the wet and I need some form of grip, especially for these rocks. So what I've done is I'm just taking a shot face on at the moment, and again I'm getting that softness coming through because of all the spray. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and take another shot, and then what I'll do is I'll just edge my way around. Right, so let me see. Right, that's great. So we've got a proper face on image here of the falls. I'm just going to turn this round a wee bit. Right, so I just need to check my exposure here because the clouds are coming down for the top of the mountains. I'm really conscious that I want that water. So what I might do is a quick 3-shot exposure compensation here, and then that way I can get an overexposed shot, a normal exposed shot and an underexposed shot. Not that I need an underexposed shot because I'm shooting one stop under, just because I'm not using filters and I want to make sure I'm getting the detail in the water that I'm looking for. So this composition, I'm always trying to make sure I've got that tree in the image, because between the tree and the big rock up here, it's giving me a balance between the 2 edges as the waterfall comes streaming down. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit further now to the waterfall, because there's a nice big rock over here and that might make quite a nice close-up shot. So it gives us a wee bit of variety, and you never know, whilst I'm kind of rushing looking at the back of a small screen of the camera, it actually could turn out to be quite a nice image. So what I'll do is I'll work my way back and I'll share those images with you. Alright, so this backdrop is absolutely stunning. So we're at the back of the Book of Etive Moor, along the backdrop towards Glen, Loch Etive down Glen Etive. But what I've noticed here is the sun, the mist's starting to clear for the tops of the mountains, and we're getting some nice blue sky. But I've also got 2 waterfalls. So I've got a waterfall here at the base of the mountain, and then there's another waterfall at the top of the mountain underneath the snow line. And I've just turned the camera over into portrait mode, and that could be a really nice image. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure I capture the sun hitting the top of the mountain. And then what I'll do is I'll zoom in as much as I can. I might change lenses actually and see if I can get some different shots with the lenses. And if I do, I'll share those images with you now. Right, so I came Oh, I need to cover my fingers. Honestly, you would need to feel this. That wind is absolutely freezing. Right, so I've came to the top of the waterfalls, and then what I'm going to do is take some shots looking down on top of the falls. I'm still keeping my settings as they are. It's getting a wee bit brighter. So at some point, if I'm still shooting the water, I'm going to have to start using filters. So luckily the rain's kind of stayed off, but the light's changing all the time. I'm getting some beautiful light on these mountains in front of me, and when I look back, the sun's clearing, the wind's clearing the sky and the clouds, so I'm getting some blue sky there. So what I'll do is I'll take a number of compositions above the waterfall. I'll turn it over to portrait. I'll isolate some small waterfalls. I'll isolate some water going over the rocks. And then what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around, and if the light is still there, I'll take shots of the mountainside, and hopefully that light will come out. So there's a bit of me that kind of wants to walk to that waterfall up at the base of that mountain there. And if I do, I'm going to have to put my wellies on because it's really boggy. So what I'll do is I'll share these images with you now, and if we start having a conversation in that direction, you know I've decided to walk to the base of the mountain to check that waterfall out. Alright, so do you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I haven't. It's one of these locations that you're always driving past. And with all the heavy rain that's been going on, I would never have noticed those waterfalls at the base of that mountain. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to put my wellies on, and then we'll start hiking up the mountain. Alright, so now to figure out what's the best route. So as you can see, that mountain over there, where it's got the snow, the base of that mountain where my bottom of my tripod is now, is where I'm going to try and hike to. So what I'll do is I'll follow one of the walls, and hopefully it's going to be worth it. If anything, I've never photographed it before. Right, I'll catch up with you halfway up the mountain. Oh, I'll stop for a breather. Oh, I tell you, me my blooming ideas. Oh, I can see a big stag on the mountainside up there, but you've got no chance. You've seen it probably in that wee camera. Well, there's two. Oh, right, I'll catch my breath. I'm still up above my hat. It's where I'm heading. So I hadn't realised it was just steep, so I just turned the camera around. And you can see where I am. Right, another few minutes. I'm just watching these stags. I'm not too close to them, so it's okay, but they know I'm here. I'll catch up with you when I get to the top. Alright, so I've made it to the top of the mountain. Well, not the top of the mountain, the base of the mountain. I just felt like a mountain. I think just with all the equipment we carry, it's really hard. But I'll turn round and you can see why I came up here. So this is why I came up, because that view is absolutely amazing. So what I'll do is I'll get myself settled and I'll set up some compositions and I'll catch up with you soon. Alright, so I'm here and the waterfall is really nice, and the other thing is the sun's right up behind me and it's lighting up the waterfall and it's absolutely beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take quite a number of compositions here because I'm quite a distance away, and I'm going to focus in on the bottom of the falls. I'm going to go portrait and get that, what looks like a green bonsai tree but it could probably be a Scots pine, at the very top waterfall, because there's 3 waterfalls. And then what I'll do is I'll focus in on each of them. I'll take some shots on portrait, I'll zoom out and I'll get the mountain landscape as well. I'll change to landscape mode and I'll go really wide and then I'll zoom in. And then what I'll do is I'm going to change my lens and put the 70-200 on to see if I can get close-up shots, because the way that the sun's hitting that Scots pine on the top waterfall is really nice, and I really don't want to miss it if I can avoid it. So I'll crack on and take these images, and then I'll share these wide angle images and the portrait images with you now. Alright, so I've switched lenses and I've got the 70-200 on, and I've switched the polarizer over just because there is so much glare for the sun. Not that I'm complaining. So what am I doing? There are a number of compositions here for the 70-200 because it means I can zoom in and get in a lot tighter. I'm going to zoom in on that Scots pine at the top, but I've noticed the waterfall inside there is a wee bit obscured from where I am, so I'm going to have to move further down and try and get a different angle to try and get in underneath that Scots pine in the top of the waterfall there. But I'm going to do a top, a middle and a bottom. I'm then going to pull out and do a kind of wide angle shot with a 70mm focal length, and then I'm going to zoom in closer to the waterfall. So I'll do a small panel if that works, and yeah, if those work out, I'll share those images with you now. Alright, so I've moved further down, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to zoom in underneath that Scots pine, and what I'll also do is take some extra shots, the waterfall face on in front of me. I'm still waiting, the light keeps changing all the time because the sun's hitting all the clouds, but my goodness, for where this started in the morning, it's absolutely glorious just now. So what I'll do is I'll keep taking these shots. I'm only going to take 3 or 4 here anyway, and then what I'm going to try and do is climb down and then walk closer to the waterfall, because there's a second waterfall on the right hand side there, and I might get a shot of that. And I've just noticed as I'm talking to camera, another Scots pine just hanging off the edge of the mountain there, and I also think I see a couple of stags up the top. So if I've got the big lens on, I'll try and get them. If any of these work out, I'll share those images with you now. Alright, so I've climbed to the base of the falls. So here's my challenge. The sun's right behind me and it's casting my shadow. So I was trying to do some portrait compositions there, but my shadow's in the way. So I've turned the camera to landscape, and that allows me to chop my shadow out of it. It's not quite the image I was looking for. So what I'll have to do is work my way further back into the shaded area and then use that to take some portrait images. So the other thing I want to do is kind of work this area because there's some really nice waterfalls. Now the sun's out, so it's burning with highlights. So what I've done is I've added an ND filter on, and I put in a 0.6 filter on. So hopefully that darkens it down and allows me to get the water without getting any highlights. So what I'll do is I'll just take a few more shots here. I'm trying to look for some of these smaller waterfalls to act as that kind of leading line up towards the main waterfalls. And then what I'll do is I'll see if those small waterfalls over on the right hand side are worth any images. Some of the rocks that are lying here, there's one or two that are quite interesting. I might be able to put them in an image, I'm not sure. So I'll take these images and then I'll share them with you. Alright, so I've managed to take images there. Hopefully you've seen them and hopefully they've worked out. I've now got to the base of the waterfalls here. I've got this small waterfall here on my right hand side. However, it's not as impressive as this fall. But what I will do is I'll kind of work this area a little bit and then I'll share those images with you. But I'll also pop up here beside this small set of falls just in case there's some nice photographic opportunities there. And I'm just watching behind me because I can see there's heavy clouds coming in over the mountains there, so I can't really have a lot of time. Right, so what I'll do is I'll take some portrait shots. I've still got my ND grad filter on, which is my sunglasses for my camera, and what that really means is the darker I get it, it means we should start to see some of the detail in the water so that the water's not completely bright white and it just looks like milk wash. So I'll go low, I'll go wide, and I'll move around. I'll see if there's any trees that can be incorporated in the composition. I'm not going to go too close because I can see there's a lot of spray coming off on this side and there's a wee breeze in here. And then what I'll do is I'll share those images with you now. Alright, so I think I'll call it a day. I climbed up to the small waterfall and I managed to get a couple of shots, so I'll share those images with you now. Alright, so I think we'll call it a day. Hopefully I can make a video out of this. Brand new location, never been here before, quite a wee bit away from the road and quite a wee hike. I suppose for experienced people it will be a hike, but for me it was a hike. It's been a great morning, had a brilliant time. The only challenge if anybody's coming up to Glen Etive now is you can't park. It's pretty rough if you want to go to specific places because you're going to have to find an approved parking space and then probably have a long walk. So it's not as easy as it used to be. However, it is still as beautiful and it's still as glorious as it is. So these falls, amazing. I'm going to finish it here. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do because you know it's free. and if you press the bell notification, that'll let you know the next time I post a video. So thanks very much for watching, and here's to the next video.